Lewis Hamilton did not hide his frustration after the Spanish Grand Prix. As soon as the race ended, his voice came over the radio with words that said everything. "I believe we've got something wrong with this car, mate. It's the worst it's ever been." That message was not just disappointment. It was a deep and painful reaction to a weekend that was supposed to bring hope, but ended in disaster. This was not just another bad race. It was a turning point, a moment where the problems between Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari could no longer be ignored. Hamilton called it the worst race he has experienced balance-wise. That is a powerful statement coming from a 7-time world champion. He has raced in all types of conditions with all kinds of challenges, but to say that this car felt the worst it has ever been is a warning sign. It shows how lost he feels behind the wheel of the SF25. It shows how disconnected he is from the car and, even more importantly, from the team that is supposed to support him. The problems started long before the checkered flag in Barcelona. This race was just the moment when everything came to the surface. For weeks now, there have been signs that things were not going well. The communication between Hamilton and his engineer Riccardo Adami has seemed forced. The strategy calls have been inconsistent. The car has not given Hamilton the confidence he needs. And now all of that has turned into a public disaster. Ferrari came into Spain with hope. The track, the conditions, and the preparation all pointed to a possible breakthrough. Hamilton qualified P5, ahead of his teammate Charles Leclerc, and close behind the McLarens. It was a strong start to the weekend. He looked calm and focused. The opening laps of the race also went well. He got a clean start, made a good move on George Russell, and was running in a strong position. For a brief moment, it looked like Ferrari had found something, but that feeling did not last long. As the race went on, Hamilton began to struggle. The car lost balance. The rear end became twitchy and unstable. The grip was gone. He was no longer racing to win or even compete. He was simply trying to survive. Every corner was difficult. Every time he touched the throttle, he had to be careful. The car that had given him some confidence on Saturday was now impossible to drive on Sunday. Then came a moment that showed how deep the problems had become. Leclerc behind Hamilton was clearly faster. The team quickly told Hamilton to let Leclerc pass. He did not argue. He did not complain. He simply moved aside. For a driver like Hamilton, that silence was more powerful than any words. It showed that he had lost trust. He did not feel the need to argue or push back. He had checked out emotionally. Things only got worse from there. Hamilton began reporting problems with the car. He mentioned a shifting issue, possibly something wrong with the gearbox. But instead of quick action, there was confusion on the radio. Adami asked him to try downshifting again. Hamilton replied sharply, "I just told you it's working." When the team told him to pit, he dismissed it. "I can do the start, dude. It's fine." This was not a normal back and forth. It was a breakdown. A driver who no longer trusted the pit wall to make the right calls. Since the start of this season, the relationship between Hamilton and Adami has been strained. It does not have the natural flow that Hamilton had with Peter Bonington. At Mercedes, with Bonington there was a deep understanding. They spoke the same language on and off the track. With Adami, the connection feels broken. They are not on the same page. And in Formula One, that kind of miscommunication can ruin a season. This is not the first time we have seen signs of trouble. In Miami, when Ferrari was slow to ask Leclerc to move aside, Hamilton responded with sarcasm. He said, "Have a tea break while you're at it." It sounded like a joke, but there was real anger behind those words. In Monaco, after finishing P5, Hamilton asked over the radio, "Are you upset with me or something?" There was no reply. Ferrari later blamed it on radio issues, but most fans did not believe that excuse. When a driver asks his engineer if he is upset, something is clearly wrong. These moments show a pattern, a slow breakdown in trust and communication, a driver who feels unsupported, a team that seems unsure of how to manage their star signing, and it is all happening very publicly. The Spanish Grand Prix just made it impossible to hide anymore. Hamilton finished 7th in Spain. He was later promoted to 6th after Max Verstappen received a penalty, but the result did not matter. In his post-race interviews, Hamilton was distant. He said it was the worst race he had experienced in terms of balance. When asked what went wrong, he said, "I have no idea why it was so bad, zero." And when asked what comes next, he did not say Canada or mention the team or the simulator. He just said, "Home," one word. But it said everything. He is checked out emotionally. This is not just about performance. It is about feelings, about how a driver connects with his team. Hamilton came to Ferrari for a new challenge, for history, for a final chapter that could define his legacy. But instead, he is facing the most difficult season of his career. And the worst part is that he does not seem to believe things will get better. Ferrari will talk about upgrades. They will mention the changes coming to the rear of the SF25. These are meant to fix the instability that has been hurting Hamilton all season. On paper, this sounds like progress, but the real problem is not just the car. It's the connection between the driver and the team. If Hamilton no longer believes in the people around him, no upgrade will fix that. You can change the rear wing, you can adjust the setup, you can bring new parts to the race, but if the driver doesn't trust his engineer, it won't matter. Hamilton doesn't just need a better car. He needs to feel that Ferrari is listening to him, that they understand what he's saying, that they're fighting with him, not just for him. Hamilton didn't leave Mercedes to go through this. He left to be part of something special, but right now it feels like a mistake. He is being asked to move aside for his teammate. He is being given strategies that don't work. He is being told what to do by a pit wall he no longer trusts. And worst of all, he's not speaking up anymore. The fire is gone. The passion that has defined his career is missing. And that is the most worrying sign of all. This is not about blaming one person. Ferrari is a team, and the problems are bigger than just one engineer or one car part. But something needs to change, and fast. If Ferrari wants to save this partnership, they need to act now. They need to rebuild the connection with Hamilton. They need to listen to him, support him, and give him the confidence to fight again. Right now, everything hangs in the balance. Will Hamilton demand changes? Will the team bosses step in and take control? Or are we already watching the slow end of a dream that never had a real chance to succeed? These are the questions that will shape the rest of the season. What happens next in Canada could decide everything. If Ferrari gets it right, they might pull this back from the edge. But if they make the same mistakes, if the communication stays broken, and if Hamilton continues to feel like an outsider in his own team, then it may already be too late. Hamilton is not just another driver. He is a 7-time world champion, one of the best in the history of the sport. He came to Ferrari to win, not just races but hearts. He wanted to be part of the next great chapter in the team's story, but right now he looks like a man trapped in the wrong story. And unless Ferrari can turn things around quickly, that story might end with regret instead of glory. The Spanish Grand Prix may have seemed like just another race, but it was more than that. It was a warning, a signal that something is deeply wrong, and unless the team understands that and makes real changes, they could lose more than just races. They could lose Lewis Hamilton's belief, and once that's gone, there may be no way back. If Ferrari truly wants to make this partnership work, they have to do more than talk. They have to act. They need to bring upgrades that actually solve the car's problems. They need to improve communication on the pit wall. They need to rebuild trust, and they need to make Hamilton feel like a key part of the team again, because right now, he doesn't look like a driver who feels heard. He looks like a driver who is alone. Only time will tell if this can be fixed. But one thing is certain. If Ferrari doesn't move quickly, they risk wasting the biggest signing of the decade. And that is not something they can afford.